Good morning, everybody. We're getting started with our exciting program today. While we're waiting for others to join us, go into chat and let us know where you are. Let us know your affiliation, if any, and if you'd like to connect with others in the group today, include your email or LinkedIn profile, because a lot of times people do want to reach out. They hear something that they like, are interested in, they want to make a connection. We want to encourage that. So please take a moment to do that. As we're getting started and people are joining us, and they will for the next several minutes, but we're not going to wait for them. We're going to get started on time. My name is Doug Dixon. I'm the secretary of the Encore Network and co-facilitator of the Encore Entrepreneurship Affinity Group, which is presenting today's program. So we're excited to see all of you. I want to welcome all of you for this amazing program. I've seen a lot of what is being presented today, and I'm anticipating it myself, but also excited to share it with all of you. So continue to use chat for letting us know who you are and where you are and how you want to connect. The mission of the Encore Network is to champion civic, social, and economic contributions of people over 50, and that includes entrepreneurship and solopreneurship. So that's the framework for our event today. We are thrilled to be sponsored by Get Set Up, which is an online platform that empowers older adults with knowledge and skills to live fulfilling lives. And we're very grateful to them for their sponsorship of this program today. There are three things that I want to call to your attention as we get started. One is keep yourself muted because, as you all know, background noise can be very distracting. And we appreciate your cooperation there. Also, as you have questions or comments to share, please do that in the chat. We won't be taking live questions, but there will be an opportunity later in the program for you to get questions answered. And we ask that you, as you enter a question in the chat, put either a question mark or the word question. That will help us separate the questions from the comments and be sure that we get to yours. And finally, we are recording today's program. And we will be sending a copy of the recording to everyone who registered for today's meeting. So, and that follow-up email will include, in addition, the chat, because there's always lots of useful information, resources, and so on shared there. And by the way, take advantage of that opportunity and share information that you have that's relevant to the discussion today. And finally, we'll be sharing information from our presenters, including how to connect with them, how to take advantage of the programs and so on that they're describing. And also, we'll have included there a list of all of the AI tools that they themselves are using, even if they're not talking about them today. So that will give you some background information and maybe a head start. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mary Cronin, who will be moderating our event today. Mary is a Boston College business professor who is now focusing on entrepreneurship. She herself is an entrepreneur several times over. She's an author of a number of books, most recently one called Starting Up Smarter: Why Founders Over 50 Build Better Companies. She's working on a new book that talks about how entrepreneurs scale their companies, including using AI. And she is co-facilitator of the Encore Entrepreneurship Affinity Group with me. So with that, Mary, I'm going to turn it over and let's get this going.
Thanks, Doug. I'm unmuted. Thanks to everyone who is joining us today. Thanks to our fellow panelists and Encore entrepreneurs. And I want to just quickly add a special shout out with thanks to Get Set Up, which has brilliantly incorporated AI tools in their mission to empower older adults to continue learning and build community through online and peer-to-peer courses. So thank you for coming. And I am here to have full disclosure. Up front, I am a believer. I have become an AI evangelist, and I was one of the advocates for having so many AI programs from the Encore Network and our Encore Entrepreneurship group this year, in particular because I totally am convinced that Encore professionals, solopreneurs, and really anyone who wants to grow a business today has got to understand AI. And so, why should you believe me? Well, in 1993, I will just briefly say my very first business book was called Doing Business on the Internet. And way, way back then, I was convinced that you would have to be on the internet to be successful in business. And boy, I met up with a lot of skeptics, especially among small business owners who said, "Oh no, the internet, that's never going to matter in my business. I can wait. I'm going to ignore that." Well, that didn't work out too well for them. And as Doug mentioned, I'm finishing up a new book, which will be out in September, which is called The 100X Entrepreneur. And for that book, I interviewed 20 founders who have been featured on the Inc. 5000 list for having the fastest growing companies in America. And guess what? They all use AI in fundamental ways to grow their business and to save themselves and their team's time internally to boost their productivity. And so do the panelists that we are lucky enough to have with us today. They themselves are all successful entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, and they have joined me and many others, millions and millions of other business people, in believing in the power of AI and not believing in it, but using that power in very practical ways on a daily basis. So I'm not going to talk much more. I'm here as your timekeeper and your question asker, and I'm reminding you, as Doug did, if you have questions, put them in the chat. We will get to them, but we're not going to take live questions so that we don't interrupt the flow from our speakers. And I'm going to kick it off by asking these speakers to introduce themselves. We want to hear who you are, what is your business, what are you using AI in your business in a very short way, and what your growth goals are for this year. So I'm going to start with Barbara Brooks. Go, Barbara.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this. Hello to everyone. So glad to see everyone from around the United States. I am the founder of Second Act Women, located here in Denver, Colorado, but nationally, if not really globally now. I'm a speaker, consultant, and a proud AI evangelist myself. I was a little skeptical last year as a marketing and public relations person, but I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, and I'm very excited about sharing how I use it. And so a little bit about what I do. Second Act Women is a social impact and business solutions company. And we are really here about reshaping how the world sees humans, particularly women over 40 in business, career, and life, and everywhere in between, because ageism is real. And as a pro-age speaker, I'm a firm believer in the power of who we are and the $15 trillion buying authority that women do have in the United States. And sadly, just so you know, side note, $850 billion was lost in 2018 to ageism. So myself and Janine Vandenberg and others that I know Janine's on here are out here fighting the good fight on behalf of age bias. But that means that I do from consulting with companies on age inclusion to producing content, pro-age, curated pro-age content events and research, soon to be when we launch our new program that Jolene, who's one of our advisors, is also on here. We're launching a new business solutions company called the 40 Plus Lab. But who we serve is sort of what I just said. We serve midlife women, women on their midlife quest, not in crisis, but quest that are navigating reinvention, entrepreneurship, and career pivots. Also on the second part, the B2B side of what we do, and soon to be, as I said, launching the 40 Plus Lab, is going into tapping into companies, brands, and ad agencies and agencies that are needing insight and strategy and access to us, because we are extremely valuable as humans. As I said a moment ago, 1 in 3 people today in America are over 50, and in 5 years, this is how powerful you are. In 5 years, 1 in 5 will be over 65. So our audience and our women are smart, seasoned, because it's Older Americans Month, but I like to call it Seasoned Americans Month. But what we offer is, again, speaking, consulting, the 40 Plus Lab that's launching, events, and content. I use AI because I'm a solopreneur and I can't do it all. And now I have a bevy of beautiful, smart advisors that are from 35 to 70. But as a solopreneur, I use it to help me build out content, to help me build out my business strategy, my marketing strategy, and all the things in between. She is my virtual assistant. Yes, you heard me right. I said she. Her name is Chloe. I renamed her Jolene from Harper to Chloe. Chloe Chat, that's her last name. So that's who I am, and I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, Barbara. Wow. Next up is Lynn. Unmute yourself, Lynn, and tell us about your business and who you serve and your growth goals for this year.
Hello, my name's Lynn Friesth, and I'm in the center of the country in Moline, Illinois. My business is creating your encore life. So a lot of who I'm looking for is the seasoned professionals who are making a transition out of corporate America. And this can be sort of an unfamiliar thing for them. They're a little unanchored. Maybe they even found invisible. I have a colleague on LinkedIn that he has his coffee cup that says, "I used to be somebody." Well, there's some of that, the transition happens. So that's what I help people do, is make that transition. And the other is adopting more of an entrepreneurial mindset. Now, I came out of the corporate life after 40 years. I was in manufacturing, so the goal was there to never make a mistake because you wanted the highest quality possible. Well, now as an entrepreneur, at least in some areas, I have to be comfortable making a lot of mistakes. Or as a friend and colleague said, I have to be comfortable practicing in public with some of the stuff I'm trying to learn how to do. So that's a little bit about it. Again, another piece I help people with is crafting their unique value proposition. Often, again, people coming out of corporate, it's been a series of positions they've held and places they've been. Now, all of a sudden, nobody cares about that. They want to know what value you provide to them. So I help people do that. So in the end, I hope to have people, go from unsure and stuck to, visible, valuable, and in motion in their new adventure and their encore career or their encore life. Now, my growth goals this year is to especially using a couple different pieces of AI, and I'll show you some of that a little bit later, but I want to 10x the number of people I've been able to connect with, touch, help, and the tools are going to be something that's really going to be able to help me.
Great. Thank you. And thank you both for keeping super on time, because that is my job and you're making it easy here. And Joe Rando, wherever you may be, thank you, because Joe clearly needs to use AI to clone himself, because he came to us from another meeting. And Joe, thank you for joining us. Tell us about your company and what you want to accomplish, who you're serving, and what your growth goals are.
Sure. Just a little bit about me. I've been in business for myself since 1990 when my hair was not this color. And I started out as a solopreneur real estate developer doing mostly big box kind of power centers. You know, Home Depot was coming into the area, Target was coming into the area, and built out almost 1 million square feet of retail as a solopreneur. But I built some technology to help figure out where to put the shopping centers. That spun off into an enterprise software company called Trade Area Systems that I co-founded with another entrepreneur. And we built that out into one of the biggest players in the retail real estate industry and sold that in 2020. And in the process, had some ideas for an app. The app led me to the idea of solopreneurs and realized how many people were one-person businesses, and I tried to find where to reach those people, and I couldn't find a place where they were. And I said, you know, I'm going to build that place. So I've been working for a few years now to build out Lifestar, which is the place on the internet for solopreneurs, and we have basically a community, an online community. We have virtual events. We have a ton of content. We have courses and tools for solopreneur, including AI tools, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. In terms of, I meant to say, I'm in Western Massachusetts. I'm not too terribly far from Boston College, but right now with Lifestar, the focus is on helping people to start off right as a solopreneur, and if they're already going or once they get going, to help them keep up with change, keep their businesses healthy, with a focus on understanding that if you're a solopreneur, it's not about scaling at all costs. It's about serving some aspect of your life, right? If you want to scale at all costs, you don't want to give up employees. So instead, people that are solopreneurs, at least the ones that are thinking clearly about it, are trying to build a business in service of some other goals, and we help people see business from that perspective. And the growth goal for us, we're just launching our first paid tiers. We've been doing free stuff for a few years now, really building out the infrastructure, building out our understanding. And our growth goal is to have 300 paying members by the end of 2025. Lastly, I am in the process of right now writing the last chapter of Solopreneur Business for Dummies, which I'm co-authoring with my fractional CMO, Carly Reese. We're doing that for Wiley. That will be out in October of 2025.
Thank you. Lots of things that all of our speakers are using AI to help them with, and I'm going to now go into some Q&A with the panel. Really, it'll be an informal conversation, I hope. And Lynn, unmute that mic, because you got my attention when you said you want to grow your client base by 10x. And I said, wow, good on you. And I want to start by asking you first how you are currently using AI for, here's our theme, less grind. That is, be more productive, get more done internally to achieve that goal. And then we'll go on to ask our other two panelists, and we'll go around a few times and have feel free, panelists, to jump in with questions of your own or remarks after everyone has their say. Lynn, go.
Sure. I'm using AI in a couple different ways, and interestingly enough, the way I've come to think of it is, with so much AI content being generated, I'm trying to think about how can I be more authentic in the content I do generate. And we'll describe that a little bit later as I talk about Descript, where I'm actually generating video content, or it could be audio, but it's pretty much off the cuff content. And then I'm utilizing that to share with other people different ways. Now, ChatGPT has also been an interesting one for me. I've been using it for probably 6 months, but as they've expanded the context levels, so it remembers more and more what I've shared with it, then all of a sudden, it's giving me much more interesting insights. Now, everybody has to remember it occasionally hallucinates, and it's done that for me too. But on the other hand, it's put things together. So for example, Mary, you talked about a book on 100X. I asked that to ChatGPT the other day, And what would it take to 100x my business? And well, the one comment
And it
I'll
said,
say,
read Mary Cronin's book, I hope.
however, it did say an interesting thing right off the bat. It said, you have to move from having a business to a movement. And certainly Barbara and Joe have talked about those ideas. So all of a sudden, that would be the mindset I'd have to think differently about. So that was the one interesting piece. Now, the final piece, and we'll maybe talk about it later, is I've decided to clone myself. And I've joined an organization called CodeFox, and I'm in the business of creating Lynn AI. Now, people would say, well, you're just going to replace yourself? And I'd say no. And in working with the people that created this, this is more where in the past I would have told people, well, go read my podcast or listen to my podcast, read my blog post, look at my LinkedIn post. Well, now that doesn't necessarily actually answer a question that somebody might have. But with Lynn AI is out there, they can specifically ask whatever question they have and get an answer that's at least informed by the work that I've already done. I've shared, whether it be blog posts. In other words, I've taken transcripts of podcasts and put it in there. So I've been playing around with it. It's still in beta stage, but it's starting to be very interesting to how it can help people in the moment. And so again, this is a way where 24/7 people can ask me a question. They may not get my best answer, but they'll get a good answer out of me. And
An authentic answer, the real Lynn.
it's
And
from my
thank you.
knowledge.
And
So-
Lynn, you've pointed us, and we will get back to it. I promise the audience, we will get back to like the agent, the AI agent, cloning your expertise and your knowledge. And I know that Joe also will have something to say about that. But Joe, I'm going to skip over to you, ask you to unmute yourself. And you also described some really ambitious growth goals here. You all did. You're all dynamos on this event, and we're lucky to have you to take the time to share your expertise with us. So, Joe, describe to us how you are using AI today for less grind, to be more productive, and to help internally your company grow.
Okay, so internally, I think the biggest thing that I have going with AI at this point is I created a GPT in ChatGPT. I created a custom GPT as a joke to kind of prank a guy named George B. Thomas, and he's another AI geek, and we kind of go back and forth on things. And I wanted to make one to just kind of make him laugh. So I basically prompted a GPT to tell me why I'm wrong, argue with me, and be a little snarky at times. And I thought that would be pretty funny to put him in there and have it, because it's very polite typically. So I did it, and I tested it out, and wouldn't you know, it's the most useful piece of AI I have going. It is amazing. And I gave it to George, and he uses it all the time. And can I share my screen? Can I show you something really funny? Let me just.
No, you can't now, but you can in
Okay.
10 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll show you something very funny that I did. Basically, I had ChatGPT write a blog post and then put the blog post into my You're Wrong AI, and you should see the results. It's entertaining, but
we
again,
will, but
very
not now.
powerful, very powerful.
Okay, great. And so, Barbara, that tees you up with time to share with us all the ways you're using AI internally to be more productive. And I will say, because Lynn, you hinted at this, when you're a solopreneur, you don't want to kill yourself. You want to grow your business, you want to have an impact on the world, but it's so overwhelming sometimes to meet the opportunities, to think through everything, even when you have assistance. So less grind is an important metaphor for also preserving the spark of entrepreneurship that you need to keep alive to enjoy what you're doing as a solopreneur. So thanks, Barbara. Let's hear it.
Yeah, and the thing is, the things that she is able to come up with when I give her the right prompt, and even if I give her a prompt that I need to have her keep digging into, the creativity that comes from it. I mean, the 40 plus lab and the tagline that goes with it was developed by her because she gave me several different names to after I said what I wanted this thing to be. And by the way, I put my growth goals inside of chat, this chat, of course, on Zoom, if you want to see those. And those were developed by, as I said, you guessed it, by her, but because I was able to give her the right prompts. And before I tell you how I use it and why it matters to me, what I find fascinating is that it's plagiarism on steroids. That's what AI is. So you have to make sure that as you're using it, that you're using it in a way that you're checking some of the stats and making sure that everything is correct. But what's really great and what's fascinating is as millennials, Gen Xers, and boomers, millennials being the last to really be critical thinkers, because what's happening today is you have to think about the critical thinking that comes with who we are as Gen Xers and boomers and millennials. And so this is what makes it fascinating, is for us to be able to create the best prompts because of where we've been in life and the experience that we bring to the table. So for me, I, working with Chloe, have been able to come up with really solid marketing campaigns. She's helped me develop out some of my speeches because I have 4 different topics that all are in alignment with one another. But she's really helped me develop out those speeches and the workshops and the content and even the upsell opportunities that I, integrate into my speaking opportunities. Email sequences. All those things have been developed by her, which is what makes her matter so much to me, again, as a solopreneur. My weekly content, which I'm going to dive a little bit more into how I use her in my personal branding and weekly content. Calendars that I use for LinkedIn and YouTube and my Instagram and my Facebook community, because I have a community of over 21,000, and I can't, just as a solopreneur, there's no way that I could keep up with how it is I want to engage with them without having her be there for me. And so also crafting, again, I'm going to walk into how I do this, but crafting my personal branding tools. So that's my bios, my social media bios, my abouts, my speaker intros, my pitch decks for landing the speaking opportunities, and the speaker kit. All those things she has actually helped me create in more ways than one that would have taken me weeks, if not months. If we think about those of us that come from corporate America who had to develop out marketing plans and strategies for the year and business plans, think about it. It used to take us months to create those, and then you go back and forth with your boss on editing and all the things. Well, I'm able to use her. And then shaping the voice and visibility of who and what and how Second Act Women serves our community, our B2B community of our women and allies, and then how I, under Barbara Brooks Speaks, have been able to also tell my story and align myself to make sure that as we continue to go to market with new products or services and all the things, that it's all being told through her helping me tell the story. And so the bottom line is that, as I said, she saved me weeks, if not months, and thousands of dollars if I needed to have a freelancer or a 1099 help me. And by the way, eventually I will get to the point where I will be hiring out women within my community. It's just right now, she's helping me tremendously in those ways.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Barbara, you used an important word, prompt, which for those of you who are new to AI, you will find quickly once you get into one of the tools that we'll be showing off shortly. Prompts are really the magic code that will get the best results. And do not assume that you have to get it right at the beginning. We all have learned, and you know what? Our AIs are actually teaching us as we go along that, oh, wait a minute, did you mean this or did you mean that? Or, I could also help you with something else. Would you like me to do that? So it really feels so much like you do have someone you want to give a name to. Amen to you, Barbara. or that this can become an extension of your own expertise in a thoughtful way, in an authentic way. So
I may
we're now
say,
going to go
if I may
around
say.
one more time, and I want to now put the more growth on the table for all of you. So we've heard some great insights into how you're saving time, being more productive, and saving money in building your business using AI. Now, how are you using AI to find those customers, to find clients for your Encore Life, to sign up paying solopreneurs to join the Lifestar community, to join the B2B community, or be a revenue generator for Second Life Women and the other businesses that you're in, Barbara? So I'm going to go back to Joe, and Joe, ask you to start with a few words, turning off your, yes, a few words about your growth plans and realities for Lifestar using AI.
Sure. So one of the things that we use AI for is to create better email subject lines, because there are people out there that are really good at that. One gentleman named Jay Schwedelson, you can catch him on LinkedIn. This is really all he talks about is email marketing, and he's produced some tools to help with that, but a lot of information. So we've trained up a GPT to understand these kind of best practices and generate. You can put an email body in, and it will come up with some optimized subject lines. So that's one thing that's helped to increase open rates of emails, which obviously helps for conversions and that kind of thing. The biggest thing that we've done in terms of kind of growth is we're trying to help solopreneurs with expertise, mostly mine and Carly Reese, my fractional CMO. And it's hard to really help people when you've got people as a limiting factor. So what I did is I cloned myself, used 500,000 words of content, give or take, and trained up an AI that you can actually, and I trained it with my voice, so you can actually talk to me and get answers to questions from the perspective of a solopreneur. And we're using that in our paid tier so that we can keep our costs down, right? If I had to, basically help people individually, I'd have to charge a lot of money. So instead, we can charge $100 a month. We're still there to help. We can come in, but if somebody just wants a real world conversation with me, they can get. I'd like to say it's not quite as good, but sometimes it remembers more than I do on the spot. So it's pretty good. And like I said, I'll happily show that to you later on. But it's been a very powerful way of kind of scaling our ability to help people without having to charge a lot of money.
Great, thank you. That's very specific, and we're intrigued, and we're hanging in there to see these demos. That's for sure. Lynn, let's go next to you about your growth use of AI.
So in the growth, I belong to some groups, and by this is a good idea for solopreneurs, is belong to groups of peers that are also building businesses and stuff. It's great to have friends and family, but quite frankly, they often don't get you. You need to be with the peer groups that are kind of trying to do the same thing. But anyway, they've often told me that in today's world, people have to see you or connect with you or some fashion, hear from you 7 different times before they you really get, I'll say it, on their attention span. So I'm using it, and then it's part of my demo coming up. I'll use a piece of content I created, but then the tools will help me create a blog post, create a shorts for YouTube. It'll help me create content for LinkedIn. And again, all using that basic piece of content I created just off my iPhone. So it gives you leverage, I guess I'll say. So it's easy to take what I've done, and rather than have to go to post and create, content for all these different platforms, the AI tools will now help you do that real quickly.
Great, wonderful. Well, now we have 2 intriguing demos coming up, but first we're going to hear Barbara tell us and you have an intriguing demo as well. So I should have said we have 3 intriguing demos coming up.
I can't wait for theirs.
So we're going to hear from you about how you're using AI to grow revenues, and then we're going to jump right into your demo, unless you want to be next. You want somebody else to go first.
I would
Tell
love
us
for somebody
about
else to
growth.
go first, but so the question, what was the question again, Mary?
So how are you using AI to really find your customers and grow your revenues?
So let's use the 40 plus, let's use my speaking engagements as an example. So as an intergenerational speaker, the way that I have used it now is I automatically know who my target demo is, because remember, she has helped me build out my marketing strategy and my business strategy. So I know who my target demos are. My target demos are HR managers. They are social impact folks within companies. They are DEI people that are inside. So what I have done is I've prompted her I've asked her, okay, now that you know who I'm going after, I want to book some speaking gigs for the fall. What I have done is I have asked her to give me the titles. At first, I started with what are the top 50 companies, considering the economy, considering what is happening with DEI and some other things. I have literally have said these things inside of my chat. I said, keep all of these things in mind. Now, give me the top industries first of who I need to go after that are into DEI. And then of those, and she gives them to me, then of those, who are the people that I need to reach out to? And she will find those people within seconds of who exactly in the departments, their titles, and who it is I need to go after. And from there, I said, draft me a pitch email, draft me an email, an introduction on LinkedIn. And where can I find them on LinkedIn? So now I'm able to take away all of the work and the back end, behind the scenes, trying to do all the legwork of who it is I'm going after, because now I have a list of 50 companies. I have the company names, departments of who I'm going after, I have the names of the people in the departments, and I have the pitch email. And then I've gone so far as to say, after I start the conversation, what are more things that I can ask and get to know this person, so on and so forth. And then what do? I put all of it into HubSpot. And now I've got a great list of companies and people that I can directly go to versus pulling out the Denver Business Journal's list of companies to go,
Wow.
the old school ways of doing sales.
Yeah. And paying money for those lists.
And paying money.
The old
for those
school
lists.
was to just pay your way, right? Now
Right.
your Chloe chat will find the people you need to be able to reach, and that's
come up
great.
with the
And that goes
email
with
sequence
the
and all of it.
advice of like customize your email headings. All these tools complement each other.
All that.
Wonderful. And Barbara, are you ready to jump into a demo, or do you want a little moment and we'll get Lynn to go? Which do you want?
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and we can do me. That's fine. Yeah. So
Well, Barbara's going to share her screen, please, and tell us about how she's using a particular tool.
yes, and let me share my entire screen because I'm going to jump between. You guys are literally going to be see the behind the scenes script and all of that. So let me just share my entire
That's what we
screen.
came for, Barbara. Thank you.
Right. There we go. All right. So I'm going to put two things up. I've got exactly how I use her. So this is a demo on how I use it for personal branding and content creation. So now I'm going to pull up my chat and put her on the side. Here's what I want you to know. Here is something they just created. If you were a $20 a month ChatGPTer, now they have projects. So now she has all of my projects that I am working on that I'm easily able to go into and just continue the conversation and pocket and silo some of the different things that I want her to work on in the speaking part of what I do. But what I'm going to do is, because she's already got everything lined up for me, my personal branding, I'm going to go into temporary. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to start up here, left-hand side. I'm curious how many of you are ChatGPTers, because since they were the first in the game, they weren't the first in the game because we know there's thousands out there, but it seems like everybody is using them. I'm curious how many are using chat, because this is great because now you can see how I'm using it. I'm going to go to temporary up here right-hand corner, because I don't want her to capture some of the things that I've already asked her a lot of the things that I'm gonna talk to you about. So now I'm going to temporary chat. It's not going to appear in the history, which is great. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to show you how I've evolved my brand. The top 4 things that we're going to walk through in the next 5 minutes is a bio that works for me everywhere, crafting my personal brand statement, which is very important for us. Visibility is king and queen for us and they, and building a social media and bio and hook. And then lastly, the content calendar. All right, so let's go into step 1, build a bio that works for everyone. My first prompt is going to be this. Hey, Chloe, right? And by the way, I want her to speak in my language. So as you're speaking to your chat, make sure that you're using your tone, your voice, your personality, because it's going to get closer and closer and closer to how the content should be written, and it leaves you less time editing. So here's what I'm going to do. Here it is. Write a professional bio for Barbara Brooks. I'm actually going to switch it out, and I'm going to, when I pop it in, I'm going to customize it. So let's just copy and paste this in. And instead, what I'm going to do, you don't have to do the quotations. You don't have to worry about that. I actually do lowercase for everything, but she knows to do upper lower when it actually comes to feeding me the information. So I'm going to say, create a bio for me, a keynote. Now remember, she doesn't have history about me. So actually, let me just keep Barbara Brooks since we are doing temporary. All right, a keynote speaker, founder of Second Act Women, blah, 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 age inclusivity, but still, I want her to make it sound bold, warm, but I'm also cheeky and fun and light. Those of you that are here know that about me. But I still want it to be business smart because this is for LinkedIn. So here we go. And I love that she speaks back to me in a language as if I'm speaking to someone, you know, on the street or in conversation. So here is my bio that she has built out. Now, what you can do, let's say that this is turning out to be what's called a long bio. Did you notice I didn't actually give her how long I want it to be, a summary of blah, blah, blah. Here is what's called, as a speaker, you need a long bio, you need a short bio, and you need a micro bio. So I'm going to go in and say, this is great. Now create a short. Normally I would go through this, just so you know, I would go through this and edit it and add all the things that she's gotten wrong because she, in the past or before this, I would have told her about how I've been featured in Forbes and CBS, Colorado, and all the things so that she can integrate that. So the more you can give your chat, obviously, about who you are, where you've been, your accolades, and all of that, the better bio she's going to create. But let's just pretend that all of this is correct. So I'm going to say build a short bio, 1 paragraph, because maybe that's all we need, 1 paragraph. All right, so now she'll go in, then obviously give me the short. I think this is really, really powerful for us to know is that you need certain bios that match what you're doing, by the way, when it comes to branding. So one of the other things that I would do is, depending on my audience, I would integrate also who it is I'm speaking to. Yesterday, I spoke to the Entertainment Community Fund. They were actors, stage actors, actors on screen. I would have even edited my bio or what how she's going to introduce me by putting in the chat and having them feed me a bio that was kind of even more curated for that audience. So anyway, so that is how I use it for creating my bio that would work everywhere. Again, make sure you edit and you get everything correct. Now, let's go in and let's just say that was the first draft, and let's just pretend that she got all the tones right and all of that. Let's go in and then craft your personal brand statement, because again, normally I would just keep asking her more and diving deeper into the bio. But now let's go ahead and draft my personal brand statement, because now she knows, she has a summary of who I am. So I want her to create my brand statement, my brand positioning. And from there, we're going to create an elevator pitch that I would use when I'm out connecting with one another, with people. So I'm asking her to help me create a brand positioning statement that is the who and what I do and how I do it. Basically, similar to my elevator pitch. All right, so here we go. So now what she's come up with is I help women 40 plus redefine success, reclaim their voice, all the things. Well, guess what? I actually want her to talk about my intergenerational speaking. So instead, I want to switch it up and say, I like this, but can you do one for me that speaks to my intergenerational speaking to corporate? That was the B to C that she gave me. I want the B to B. I'm talking about my speaking career. So now what she's come up with is, as a personal brand strategist, pro eat speaker, and founder of the business platform. Well, what she said is, I help companies and leaders embrace age inclusion and intergenerational collaboration. Okay, that's fine, and just keep going, but narrow it more. So, because let's just say I have a networking event. I'm attending a networking event where, forget about the typos, there will be decision makers who could hire me potentially. Potentially. I need my glasses, y'all. Potentially. Create my elevator brand positioning. Elevator now. And again, I love how she speaks to me. Okay, now here we go. So I meet somebody tonight. I've got a really firm statement. I work with companies that I want to truly build inclusive cultures with. So you can see here, just keep going. But I want her to make it shorter. Make it shorter. So just keep going and going and going. So that's what I would do when you're crafting your brand statement, or when you're going to be out somewhere and you're stuck on what to say because you know you're going to be in front of the right people. And perhaps you're a portfolio career person. You've got different things going on in your life. So here we go. She narrowed it. I help companies build age-inclusive, multi-generational cultures, especially for women 40 plus. I show teams how to grow diversity, and then I would add a call to action at the very end of that if I were you. Especially knowing that I was going to meet certain people. So that's how you go deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, again, just continue to use your critical thinking, your problem solving, all the things about you, because you want it to be your voice, your tone, your personality. So now let's talk about 3 out of 4. We're going to do build a social media bio and hook. So now this one, now she knows a little bit about me above. Let's have her build out that section just below my name.
And Barbara, I'm going to give you and Chloe a 2-minute warning here so we can preserve time for our other 2 demos.
You got it. I'm going to say write the part underneath my name on LinkedIn, given what you know about me and being a speaker, consultant, and media contributor. I just edited this whole thing because now knowing that, we're just going to do this, because Guess what, guys? That is prime real estate right underneath your name, especially the first, I think it's the first 30 characters where you show up when you're engaging with people. So make sure that you have a power statement underneath it, underneath your name. So here we go. You got it. Here's a polished personality packed. Here it is, right here. I could, if I agreed with this, I would actually add a few more things to this, maybe a few accolades. But here is underneath I would cut and paste this into my bio. If I liked it, if this is exactly me, this is how you can save time and energy. All right, so then the last part is let's create. So now that she knows all of that, she knows how to write my LinkedIn. By the way, I would use her to write your about, the very large part where you get 2,000 characters. Have her build that out as well for brand visibility, SEO, all of the things. So now let's have her build out a content strategy considering what she knows about me. Here's a 4-week content calendar about age inclusivity, branding, all the things that I do and what I'm known for. Week 1, here we go. Post number 1, and you can see I have asked her to cover my pillars of my personal brand and the brand of Second Act Women because I'm represented as both on LinkedIn. So you have to make sure that before you do these types of exercises, when you're talking about your personal brand or your company, you have to recognize, and she can help you understand and know what your content pillars are. Those are the top things that you will always be talking about in your social media. These are the things that you are known for inside of what you do, regardless of what business you are. So she knows my content pillars are these: age inclusivity, branding, storytelling, insights, and life at 50 plus. So this is what she's done. She has built out and given me the days that I can do content. And if I wanted to go even further, so she's got week 2, Tuesday, we're going to do that. I've actually asked her to theme it. Give me a theme because I could use this theme of week 3, unfiltered and unapologetic. I can use that theme across all of my social media. So then knowing that this is LinkedIn, then we can say, this is great. And for you, those of you that are Canva users, tell her to create what it looks like. Can you create a carousel on 3 and I'm going to cut and paste for time.
Right, and let's wrap it up because you'll be back for another question, Barbara. We're going to move on. And thank you, because this is so hands-on. I saw some comments go by that it's so helpful to see this conversational mode of working with AI. So we're going to ask you to turn off your screen sharing and tee up next. Joe, if you're ready to give us a demo of one of your favorite tools in action, please. And we'll be, as Doug pointed out, looking for everyone's questions in the chat as we move into the interactive session in a bit. Be sure to put a question mark in front of your chat questions so Doug can spot them and make sure they get to the panelists.
You're muted, Joe.
Yeah, that won't work. Okay, so this is what we call Star AI, and this is what I was talking about. I've trained this on 500,000 words of content I've created for solopreneurs. Doing something like this takes a whole lot of content, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a conversation with it as though I were one of the people using Lifestar to help me maybe get started in a solopreneur business. So I'm going to basically go into voice mode with it. It does take a second.
we're also spoiled. Did those of you who maybe haven't used much ChatGPT, did you notice how fast those answers scrolled out for Barbara? It's like you
Yeah.
have a superpower all of a sudden.
Well, something's wrong here, unfortunately. Let me try this again. Go to the top. Create a call. Let's try this again. I think I just got disconnected.
Looks like it's connecting. Yes,
Yay.
and thinking.
Hey, ready to dive into building your solopreneur strategy and start turning those ideas into action?
Yeah, so I'm a 65-year-old entrepreneur. I developed retail real estate in my 30s and 40s, went into an enterprise software company in my 50s, sold that, and now I'm trying to decide what my next act is going to be. I want to be a solopreneur. I have skills with real estate, but I do not want to do residential real estate. Got skills with software, but I really don't want to do a big software business. I just want to be solo and have time to be able to travel when I want to, do the kind of work I want to. And I'm just wondering if you have any ideas or any questions for me to help me figure out what I should do.
All right, so you've got this incredible background, real estate development, enterprise software, and now you're looking for something that lets you stay solo, gives you freedom to travel, and keeps you doing work you actually enjoy. First off, I love that you're clear about what you don't want. No residential real estate, no big software ventures. That clarity is gold because it narrows the field. Here's where I'd start. What's the intersection of your skills, your passions, and what people are willing to pay for? That sweet spot is where your next act lives. For example, with your real estate background, you could offer consulting to commercial property owners or developers who want to optimize their portfolios. You wouldn't be managing properties or doing deals yourself, but you'd be leveraging your expertise to guide others. It's high-value work, and you can do it from anywhere. Or, if you're leaning toward your software experience, what about creating a niche advisory service for small businesses or solopreneurs who need help choosing and implementing tech solutions? You wouldn't be building software, but you'd be the go-to person for making their systems work smarter, not harder. It's a way to stay in the tech world without the grind of running a big operation. Another idea, have you thought about creating a digital product? Something like an online course or a membership community for people who want to learn from your experience? You've got decades of knowledge that could be packaged into something scalable and passive. For example, a course on how to evaluate commercial real estate deals or tech strategies for small business owners. It's a way to monetize your expertise without trading time for money. So let me ask you this. What kind of work energizes you the most? Is it teaching, advising, creating? And when you think about your ideal day as a solopreneur, what does that look like? Those answers will help us zero in on the right path.
So I think the idea of advising possibly smaller regional retailers that want to expand because they do it poorly so often, and I do know how to find a good site and know what it looks like. And I think my day should look like, a couple of 3 hours of meetings and some research time and not too much more than that.
That sounds like a fantastic direction. Advising smaller regional retailers on expansion plays right into your strengths, your real estate expertise, and your ability to spot a good site. Plus, it's a niche where you can really stand out because, as you said, so many of them get it wrong. And the best part, it's a consulting model that aligns perfectly with the lifestyle you're aiming for. Just a few hours of meetings, some research, and the flexibility to travel when you want. Here's how I'd suggest shaping this. First, position yourself as the go-to expert for regional retailers who want to expand smartly. You're not just offering advice, you're solving a specific pain point, helping them avoid costly mistakes and find locations that set them up for success. That's your niche, and it's a powerful one because it's focused and high value. And remember, the more specific you are, the easier it'll be to attract the right clients. Think of it as being the tip of the spear for this kind of consulting work, focused, sharp, and impactful. Next, consider how you'll package your services. Maybe it's a flat fee site evaluation, a step-by-step expansion strategy, or even a retainer model where you're their on-call advisor for a set number of hours each month. This way, You're not just trading time for money, you're creating a structure that works for both you and your clients. And finally, think about how you'll market yourself. Your target audience is likely busy running their businesses, so you'll need to meet them where they are. Maybe that's through industry associations, local business groups, or even LinkedIn. The key is to build a strong personal brand that highlights your unique expertise and the results you can deliver. And don't forget, most solopreneurs get their work through referrals, so nurturing your network will be crucial. So what do you think? Does this feel like the right direction, or are there other aspects you'd like to explore?
Sounds good. I'm going to go make my LLC right now. Thanks.
Joe, you're amazing. Barbara, you're super amazing.
That's the spirit. Go get that LLC set up and start.
Anyway, yeah, so it kind of freaks me out, having that conversation with myself.
Oh, really?
But it was good
I saw
advice.
lots of comments go by in the chat that people are blown away by this.
So that's how I'm scaling myself without having to work 20 hours a day.
Thank you. And Lynn, let's just quickly move on to you because we have so much still to say and so many questions have popped up. We want to protect some of the remaining time for answering those specific questions.
So mine is going to be a little bit about using the program called Descript, which is really, it's a video editor, but it's also does so much more. And so briefly, you can just talk into your phone, which is what I did here. And I created a 1 minute, 16-second talking about just AI assistants and agents. And then literally, I just took the file from my phone and dropped it in, drag and drop it in here to this Descript. And it automatically goes and it creates a transcript for you. Now, one of the fascinating things about Descript is by editing the text, it actually also edits the video. So again, you can go through there. And then you can do things like, I've showed over here studio sound. So if we had imperfect sound coming off of our audio, our phone, it'll really make it sound good. I know some friends that do podcasts, they got rid of their video or their audio editor because it does such a nice job. Then it says remove filler words. Okay, I use a lot of uhs, as you can see in my normal speech. Well, it'll literally go through and remove all those. Now, in a practical sense, sometimes you want to be careful with that because it can seem kind of clunky if you literally take out all the filler words. Then another thing is, if you're going to use this later on, if people want to view it online but don't want to literally listen, here's a button. You can say, I'm going to put captions with this. And it will literally just go in there and do captions. But some of the other interesting stuff here is, again, so you do video editing just by editing the text in here. Maybe I didn't want that first sentence. And I can just come back here and say, well, count that out. So now the thing starts with the word about, which may not be very useful in the long run. But again, it makes it much easier than maybe traditional stuff. Then we get into what they call, again, the people that wrote Descript have a bit of a sense of humor. So they, rather than an overlord for their AI, they called it an underlord. So again, they just kind of do some cute stuff there to help you. But it'll do stuff like eye contact. So if you were doing your video and you were you're glancing around, it'll actually kind of act as if your eyes are refocused. And it does a pretty good job. It can be odd if you truly turn your head and stuff, but it does. But then it gets into this piece where I think it is really kind of interesting, and I'll call that the repurpose. So here, it'll automatically create clips or create a highlight reel or just find highlights for you. It'll even translate if you think you want to change languages. But these are the things where all of a sudden, again, I've created authentic content, but it'll go through and help me start chopping that into pieces I can use in other places. Then we get into the idea of publishing. So it'll draft you a title. It'll draft you show notes if you're doing this for a video podcast. It'll draft your YouTube description. And then you can get down here and it'll actually say, hey, give me a social post, drag me a blog post. So all of a sudden you can create all of this content just from having talked into your phone. You don't have to, and it'll actually publish to YouTube also. But then beyond there, it'll say, okay, I've given you this. Now help me brainstorm more ideas I could do on this topic, or even write me a script for something that I could say, maybe I didn't feel I did a very good job of covering the topic and my words meandered around and stuff. It'll actually write you a script or an outline, and it'll also rewrite it for you. So again, I use this, again, I'm starting from a little piece of content that I created on my phone, and then all of a sudden I've been able to, one, easily edit it. Not being an expert video editor, I've been able to get really good sound using studio sound, and then I can use these other tools to go ahead and start taking what I did, my own authentic content, and create it into snippets that can be used elsewhere in social media on other platforms. So that's basically, again, this wasn't a how-to, it's more of here's what's possible. And I will say that all these tools, Descript in particular, some of these things weren't even there a month or two ago, like this eye contact. That wasn't even there a short time ago. And all of it is getting much better as they go along. So I think the first time I tried creating clips, it seemed to not grab the most useful thing out of there. It's gotten much better at that. So with that, I'll...
Thank you, Lynn. Well, thank you, everyone. And two important things. One is, as Doug mentioned at the beginning, you will get a curated list of all the resources that have been mentioned in this program and more. I'm not on stage to share my AI use, but I put that into the curated list. I'm a fan of other AI tools. And so those of you who are asking, well, what is this that Lynn's talking about? What is this that that Joe has done? It will be in the curated list for you, and that will come with the recording link for this program. So don't worry, you'll see it all. And the second thing I underscore is it's getting better all the time. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Lynn. You know, if you tried a tool 6 months ago and it was clunky and it didn't do what you wanted, but don't assume that is still the case. Go back and take another look, or try one of these new tools, or both, because everything has stepped up and gotten better and better in the past 6 months. It's truly moving as fast as the speeding train and Superman, and that we, if we don't use, this is one of my convictions, if we don't start using this, we're just getting further behind every day. And you can start to get that vibe from all the great things that our panelists are talking about. I'm here to keep us on time, and I'm going to get tough, guys. And so we want to hear one more round of very, very quick, what is this cloning thing? What are these agents that you're using? How can you give us like a 3-minute overview, 2-minute to 3-minute overview of how that's working for you and how it plays into your business? And then we're going to move into answering all the great questions that are coming forward from our audience. So, Joe, can I go back to you? Are you ready to talk about, you wowed us already with the voice advisor. What are you doing with your cloning for Delphi AI?
So the general idea is that in the paid tiers, we have a section called Star AI, which people can go to and ask general questions. But I'm also going to be producing kind of copies of this clone that are addressing specific kinds of tasks. So I've created something called the Solopreneur Success Cycle, and it's basically there's 8 steps to it, contained in 3 phases: getting started, running and learning from your business, and then improving your business. So the phases. And so there's these 8 different steps. And for every one of those steps, I'm going to have a special version of this designed to help people address that particular step. And we still will have office hours to answer questions, but somebody's in the middle of doing something, they want an answer, they want to get some guidance. They don't want to have you waiting for the next office hours or going into a chat and waiting for somebody to respond. They can come in here and either type or have a conversation with that clone and get answers to their questions and get guidance as to how to address those issues of that particular step of the solopreneur success cycle as they create, run, and then improve their business.
Great. And so the specific tools that you're using, Joe, and
that's all going to be built on this Delphi.ai tool,
Okay.
which we built Star AI on.
Great. And Star AI is your proprietary value add for the solopreneur community at LifeStar. Is that correct?
It's built on the underlying technology of Delphi.ai, and we trained it up, as I said, so far with about 500,000 words of content, all solopreneur based, blogs. I've created a pillar page of about 75,000 words, 25,000 words, podcast transcripts and all kinds of things that we've done in terms of, talking about solopreneurship. And so when it answers the questions, it's interesting because if you ask ChatGPT how to use SEO to grow your life coaching business that you need 12 customers for, it'll give you this whole list of how to do SEO. And Star AI will say, are you sure you want to use SEO? You only need 12 customers. You're probably better off focusing on networking. And so it's just really geared toward solopreneur-based answers, not subject matter experts, not employee-based companies, which is a lot of times what you're getting out of generic ChatGPT, because it's as somebody said, it's the ultimate in basically just putting everything together. So
I love that, and I'm glad you mentioned that specifically. And Encore entrepreneurs and Encore solopreneurs, we're an underserved market. We're under-recognized. We don't make enough noise, but we're starting to make that noise. You better believe it. And this is one of our ways of doing it. So I'm fired up with all of these things. I'm like, how can I do all these at once this afternoon?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I may have to wait for the resource list and the recording. Lynn, you're up, please, to tell us about your coach clone, your Coach Vox AI.
Yeah, again, it's a platform built by a young couple, and it's specifically designed to help coaches do what they want to do. So again, similar to Joe's, I uploaded a lot of the content and stuff. Now, in my case, I think it starts taking the content and making it into question and answer pairs or question and response pairs. And with the different content I loaded up, I think I ended up with about 1,500 pairs. Now, I can go in there and actually edit those. And in fact, they have a thing called fine tuning where I go in and ask it my questions, and I can, again, enhance it as it goes through. So again, it's one of those things where I've gotten several friends and colleagues to test it, and they've done a really nice job. And it keeps getting smarter too as you go along. So it'll be interesting as I try to expand. But the most important piece is, I think, as I mentioned earlier, is it allows me to be available to people 24/7. They may not need the best answer to a question right now. They need a good answer to a question right now, and not when the next phone call comes with me. So I think it's a really good idea to, one, be able to share what I know easily. It's not, rather than kind of, as I think mentioned earlier, going through my blog posts, going through my podcast, they can actually get a specific answer to a question real quickly. So that's, again,
Great.
All these things are designed differently, but they're all kind of useful in their own way.
Great, thank you. And Barbara, just a minute of what your thoughts are on this personal agent based on AI.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. And I noticed that Chip Conley had one on his website late last year. I noticed it and I thought, wow, this is kind of weird and cool at the same time. And now that I'm a super user, since I started using AI probably last fall, but really this year to help me develop out some business plans and things. And so I can't wait to learn more about how it is I could, implore something like that on my end for the second act women's side of business. I think it's fantastic. It's not creepy to me at all. It was last year.
And for the record, I do not have an AI that teaches my courses in entrepreneurship. But I'm certainly sharing all these great tools with my students because they need to know the latest and greatest is not just from coming out of Silicon Valley. It's coming out of us. So Doug, I'm going to hand it over to you for a roundup of some of the questions. Are you there and available for this transition?
Yes, one of the questions has to do with Barbara's presentation. And the comment was that you're talking to to Chloe, as if you were talking to a real person. And Betsy wants to know how much value there is in that first part where you said, I like what you've done. I think this is great, but does that have value in terms of the quality of the response? Or is it really the meat of the question that follows that phrase that really counts?
Both. It has value because you want it to know your tonality, your personality, how you speak, so that in the end, it can save you time in editing your content or editing things that are front facing, so that it knows how I mean, as you saw me say, I said, put in that I'm cheeky, but I still want it to be smart and witty and business-like and all the things. So the more that you can continue to feed exactly your chat, how it is you want to deliver content or deliver whatever it is to the world, it does. And then the second part of that is absolutely just keep feeding it, keep prompting it, keep nailing it till it finally gets exactly what you need in the idea generation or in the content or in the business planning or strategy, all the things. Just keep digging deeper. And that's the beauty, again, of being humans over 40, is because we have been there, done that in problem solving, as I said at the very beginning, that we can actually continue to feed it all the things that we've experienced.
Yep. I will just add to that. You will not hurt anyone's feelings in giving very candid feedback to your AI tool.
Yeah, I will tell her.
I love that. I mean, I love how Barbara's really nice, and that's how she is. And so it's authentic Barbara. However, I have been, comfortable saying, no, that's wrong. I also love Joe's no, you're wrong kind of tool in that, no, that's not what I wanted at all. Start over. And you know what? It's just as cheery, polite, and productive when you do that as when you say, this is great, thank you. Lynn?
I agree with Mary, because there are times that she gets it completely wrong, even though the memory didn't somehow heap. Right. And so I've said, oh my God, you are way off base, Chloe. You need to start again. I speak as if I'm speaking to a human, an assistant, where, wow, they were really off.
Yep, it's good feedback. And the AI stays cheerful and productive and comes back in the next 30 seconds with a much better answer. Lynn, you wanted to
I was just going to add on briefly what Barbara said. I have a colleague that actually said his chat was, I'm going to give you my speech. I want you to be make a critical review of the speech I'm giving you and interrupt me if need be. So he said it was fascinating that he actually had an on-the-spot critique of what he was actually trying to say. So I think there's just a lot of interesting things that may come.
Doug, you want to tee up another question?
Other question has to do with freshening old content. Lynette has some old PowerPoint presentations and things that she's done in the past. She'd like to freshen those up and sort of make them more relevant to the work that she's doing currently. How would she go about that?
And I'll just chime in quickly. Barbara mentioned this. If you have a $20 a month subscription, you get to set up your projects, and you also then can create your own personalized knowledge base for a project. So you could upload all of those old PowerPoint slides or any other part of your previous work that you want to get updated, and just tell your AI, I need these to be updated for 2025, and pay attention to these following developments that I want to include now in these slides. Right. And it will do it, and then it will say, and would you like me to create graphics or anything else for you that would make these new points. It works.
Just a quick note on that. And I got this information from ChatGPT. It prefers like Word documents and probably PowerPoint over PDFs because I guess some of the formatting stuff is lost in PDFs. So it can tell like if it's an H1 or an H2, if it's in Word. So, what's an important heading versus just text, in the body text. So it definitely gets more context with Word documents than PDFs. I'm not sure about the PowerPoints. I would guess it would probably be good with PowerPoints too. But just something to keep in mind when you do that kind of thing. You can give it a little bit of a leg up by doing that.
Yes, I mean I have fed it all sorts of indigestible things, and it does interesting things with it. Sometimes it works out, but I live on creating my own knowledge bases within the AI because I want it to look at my interviews, my original work as the primary source. And you just tell it that this is my original work, favor this, and then provide the citations and the resources for it. Okay, Doug, back to you for a couple of more questions. We've got a few more minutes here.
Yeah, Jim is asking about, I think this speaks to authenticity and reliance, over-reliance. And he's saying, how do you balance the efficient use of these tools and becoming overly dependent and maybe a little bit intellectually lazy?
Okay, Lynn, you want to take that one, and then Barbara?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's, again, that's been my focus is I'm going to start with my video. I'm going to be talking about a subject. Now, I may not have all the right references and stuff like that, but it's going to be my take on a subject. So that's how it is. But then I ask it to help me refine things. Or I use those tools to actually, how do I redeploy some of my thoughts and stuff? But yeah, there's always that. And there's, pretty famous examples where people threw something from ChatGPT out there in the public and, one, it was wrong, or two, it just made them look stupid. So you do have to you're still got to be the editor in some sense. So I think it's, on the other hand, I know people have talked about worrying about your IP being taken. Well, your IP is probably already gone, to be honest. And the fact that I quote philosophers from Greek and Roman times doesn't mean I'm grabbing all their IP. It's been shared for 2,000 years. So I don't tend to worry about that. I know in some arenas that would be very critical, but not in my particular arena for coaching.
Barbara, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I found that's an interesting question because I do find myself at times thinking, wow, I need to use my brain on this one for a moment. Let me take a step back and write something on my own because I do come from marketing and PR, right? So I'm used to writing because I don't want to be so over dependent on it that I'm losing my own brain power, my own intellectual self. But on the other side of it is an efficiency tool for a solopreneur. So there's that side of things. And so I think you just, whoever you are individually, you just have to think at times, do I have time to write this out myself and then pop it in a chat if I needed to refresh it, if I need to refine it or whatever. Because one of the things that you want to, so I think it just depends on who you are. But I did do a post on LinkedIn that says we have to be very cautious, that we do need, because it is plagiarism, as I said, on steroids. So we do need to still use our brains from time to time because we are the generations of critical thinking and problem solving. So I don't want it to necessarily take over, but I still need it as a solopreneur. I do lean on it.
It's a tool. It's a tool. And we are the masters of the tool. Joe, one more comment.
Yeah, I just want to make a clarification. I think it's important distinction. If you go to ChatGPT and say, write a blog post on solopreneurship, you are going to get the most bland,
that's right,
kind of average of everything that's ever been said on the internet.
That's right.
But if you go in and you say, solopreneurship is this, it's that, it's this, it's that, it's people that want to build businesses and serve their life. And you give it all that. And then you say, write a blog post around these ideas. Now you're going to get something that's you. And I
That's right.
think it's important to make that distinction between letting it do the thinking and letting it do the maybe fleshing out and formatting.
And you know what? We are at the point where it says on my Showtime, and Doug is the arbitrator of this, and I can see him starting to look edgy. We're wrapping up. And so I fully believe we could have spent a whole day on this and it never ever would have run out of original things to say. And if you in the audience want more, let us know you want more, because this has been so interesting. I've learned so much, but we are wrapping up. So put the questions in. If you haven't gotten them answered, we'll try to figure out a way to get them answered later. But right now, I'm turning this back over to Doug to do the wrap up, because that's how we are. We start on time, we end on time. Go, Doug.
Do you want to take a minute for final comments or words of advice, or do you want us to go ahead with the wrap up?
I think we'll just consider what we had as the final comments and words of advice, because I felt Joe, Barbara, and Lynn, you were all very wise in what you just said about maintaining your own intellectual sharpness while also taking advantage of this amazing new way to boost our productivity. And for this program, you've really shown us amazing ways to build our businesses and advance our professional careers. And we all know it's changing, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm satisfied. We delivered. Thank you, guys. You were amazing. Doug, wrap it up for us.
Thank you. And I know that there are a number of comments in the chat that are very specific about their appreciation for everything that you've shared. So thank you to our panelists, and thank you to Mary. We will, as I mentioned earlier on and several times since, we'll be sharing the recording. We'll be sharing the resources that Mary mentioned, and there'll be other information that we'll share, including information about each of our speakers. So that will be coming out in a couple of days. Look for that. And then I also wanted to thank our sponsor today, Get Set Up. Very appreciative of their support for this program. It's an online platform, if you're not familiar with them, for empowering older adults with knowledge and skills that they need to live fulfilling lives. If you're not familiar with them, go online, check them out. It's a great platform, very worthwhile. I also want to mention that the Encore Entrepreneurship Affinity Group has been the group that's organized this event today. And if you'd like to join us, we have meetings coming up. Go to our event calendar and sign up, encorenetwork.org/events-list. We have also a membership program in force. Through the 23rd, you can get 25% off of membership. If you're not a member of the Encore Network and you'd like to work more closely with all of the folks who are a part of today's program and helped plan this program and others that we offer, which I'll be talking about in a second, please do that. You'll never have a better chance than now to sign up. Upcoming programs. On next Wednesday, the 21st, Amy Avergun will be talking about a book called Life in Three Dimensions, which she has found very helpful, and it talks about designing your fuller, better life, some really interesting new research that she's going to share. And then on June 4th, we have another coffee chat coming up with Nan Ives and Lisa Stornello, on the Future of You. And the Future of You is a program that they've developed for reaching corporate audiences, but they have a new version that they'd like to share with us and also get your input. So join us for that and share your knowledge and expertise and help them make their program more appropriate for the audience that they're seeking. And finally, on June 18th, we're going to have our second annual Affinity Group Summit. This is when we bring all of our affinity groups together. And we're calling this Labs for Change because we want the affinity groups to be action-oriented. And this will be an opportunity for each of them to share their goals for the coming year in kind of a fast pitch format, and then for us to kind of pitch back and give them some input, identify connections that we want to make and things that we want to press forward with. So join us for that summit on June 18th. Information is out on all of these. Sign up at our website, and we look forward to seeing you there. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone who joined us today. We will be following up with more information, and stay tuned. There's a lot more to come. So have a wonderful day, and keep it up. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing.